The following is a review. I own none of the footage seen in this video. Please do not flag me for copyright. The movie is owned by Warner Brothers and Batman is a property of DC Comics. I own nothing. The year was 1989. Superhero films weren't so common as they are today. The idea of a cinematic universe didn't even exist at the time. The Superman films had largely run their course. But it was time for a new superhero to get his turn on the big screen. Starring Jack Nicholson, Michael Keaton, and Kim Basinger, it was a movie that took the world by storm. I remember watching this movie over and over again on VHS back when I was a kid. I remember the Bugs and Daffy commercial to order the Warner Brothers catalog.
So when you get a chance, call...
No, they have to call now. They can't watch the movie until they order their new catalog.
You're despicable.
Yeah, drive your parents' phone bill up, kids. You do that. High Top Films, who did a video about how this is a bad Batman film. Look, I like a lot of your work, but let me explain to you, Sonny. I sound like an old man. Back in the day, there were no other Batman films. Okay, that's not technically accurate. There was the movie that was based on the 60s TV show starring Adam West, and there was the 1940s serial. But this movie, yeah, this was when Batman exploded into pop culture. Then newcomer Tim Burton was brought on to direct the film, and he gave the film a very gothic style. The movie was filmed at Pinewood Studios in London. Bob Kane, upon visiting the set, remarked that Gotham had come to life exactly as he envisioned. Jack Nicholson was cast to play the Joker, and Michael Keaton was cast to play Batman, which apparently got the fanboys enraged because Michael Keaton was primarily known for doing comedy roles. I guess nothing's changed in the past 30 years. With a budget of $35 million, which seems rather small compared to today's blockbusters, Batman made back its entire budget in its opening weekend. It went on to make $400 million worldwide, a number that was unheard of back then. It's all helped by Danny Elfman's score, who really set the mood for Batman. His theme is still the Batman theme to me. The plot of the movie deals with Batman and his arch-enemy the Joker coming into conflict, while they both fight over Vicky Vale. But what's really going on? First off, let's analyze the opening. What I will say about Gotham City in Tim Burton's vision, it's alive. It's a character in itself. The opening of the film will make many comic book fans believe that they are seeing Batman's classic origin story, but when the names Jimmy and Harold are dropped, that's when people realize that this isn't Batman's origin. In fact, it's muggery, and we get our first glimpse of Batman as he comes down to avenge the crime. It creates suspense and depth when the robbers mention the Bat. And then in the shadows, you see Batman's silhouette landing. Classic. Then there's Michael Keaton's famous line,
"I'm Batman."
That set the tone for The Dark Knight. Now let's discuss the characters of this movie. Batman is introduced as this creature of the night that's relentless and everybody is fearful of. But Gotham doesn't necessarily believe in him, except for Alexander Knox. More on him in a minute. A rather curious note here is that Harvey Dent's inauguration, blink and you miss it, and you notice that Bruce Wayne's chair is empty. When he's introduced as Bruce Wayne, you're taking a moment to see his mannerisms, such as the scene where he acts stupid when he's with Knox and Vicky. We see in a scene near the end before the final battle where he reflects on the path he's taken to Vicky.
What to think about this? It's just something I have to do.
Why?
Because nobody else can.
The thing about Batman killing people is that, yeah, it does kind of bother me now. At the beginning of the film, he does seem to avoid going for the kill, but once he figures out that Joker is the one who killed his parents, more on that later, that's when he starts going all out. Now here's the thing, I think this was based on the very early Bob Kane and Bill Finger take. I read Detective Comics number 27 where Batman openly does kill someone. In fact, Batman's no killing policy came later. I think it ties into Batman's character that we see in Batman Returns and Batman Forever. But Batman is ranked as the 46th hero of all time for a reason, because he's Batman. Now for the Joker. Unlike most other examples, in this movie he's actually given a backstory. His name is Jack Napier, a hired goon for mob boss Carl Grissom, played by the late Jack Palance. At first we see he's a cultured man.
You look fine.
I didn't ask.
But after his transformation to the Joker, he becomes the clown prince of crime that we all know.
You can call me Joker. And as you can see, I'm a lot happier.
His crush on Vicky is played as hopelessly stupid. He doesn't really have a chance. There's also this Alicia character who's kind of an interesting precursor to the Harley Quinn character from the animated series. His plan is a little odd, but it fits with Joker's characterization. He just wants to cause chaos, however that may be. Vicky Vale, well, her screaming tends to get annoying at times, but she's much like Lois Lane. She's curious about getting the scoop on Batman, but she becomes infatuated with Bruce Wayne because of how weird he seems to be. She comes across as a bit of a stalker, considering that, yeah, that was just a one-night stand, but she serves as the audience viewpoint character, particularly when we get introduced to the Batcave. It's through her perspective. Alexander Knox, played by Robert Wool, has a supporting role, but he does the job well. Supposedly he was planned to be killed off in the original script, but the crew liked his performance so much that they kept him on. He mainly serves as the red herring romantic interest for Vicky, but he gets a badass moment in the finale where he helps drive off a Joker balloon. I guess I'll talk about Bob real quick. He's very memorable. He's the kind of henchman every boss wishes they could have, which makes this a major crossing the line moment for Joker. Alfred, played by the late Michael Gough, doesn't have a whole lot of screen time, but he's shown to play his usual role as the servile snarker, and he really seems to be encouraging Bruce to settle down with Vicky and live a normal life. It's very subtle, and there's one scene where he basically spells out to Bruce that what he's doing may not be the best for his life.
Grieving for the loss of old friends. Or their sons.
Commissioner Gordon is a minor character. I can see it here since Batman isn't really working with the police, but the late Pat Hingle does a good job playing him.
I'm in charge here, not Carl Grissom.
That right there shows you that unlike Eckhart, Gordon is an honest cop who isn't on the take. Now the big reveal that Joker was the one who killed Batman's parents in this version. Here's the thing. Yes, usually Batman's parents' killer is Joe Chill. But in this movie, considering the fact that they didn't know if this movie would be successful or not, yeah, it worked. So the basic idea was that Batman and Joker in a way create each other.
Tell me, kid, you ever dance with the devil by the pale moonlight?
Supposedly Bob Kane loved the idea and wished he thought of it, but DC refused to carry this over as it would have ruined Batman and Joker's dynamic. Prince's songs, which I don't dare play because, I don't want to get flagged for copyright, they definitely give this movie an identity. The scene where Joker and his men trash the museum while dancing the Party Man is one of my favorite scenes in the movie. And that's not all. Leading into Batman's rescue, and this is absolutely how you introduce the Batmobile.
Get in the car.
As far as I'm concerned, that is still the greatest Batmobile ever put to live action. As a kid, I would always rewatch the scene where Batman puts the shield up. It always looked so cool. The big climax of the film with the parade and the balloons is very well done, particularly when the Joker reveals his plan, but Batman comes in with the Batwing to save everyone. Very convenient what he does, really. Also, I don't know why he went to the sky to pose in front of the moon, but it looks very cool. And I really have to laugh at the scene where he basically shoots the Batwing's entire arsenal at Joker, but somehow misses. Like, were you just that bad of a shot? And then Joker just shoots the Batwing down like it's nothing. Some Batwing. The finale of the film, the big walk off Gotham Cathedral, was apparently tacked onto the film without Tim Burton's knowledge. Here were Jack Nicholson and Kim Basinger walking up this cathedral. And halfway up, Jack turns around and goes, "Why am I walking up these steps? Where am I going? We'll talk about it when you get to the top." I had to tell him I didn't know. It kind of feels tacked on too. It does show Batman is injured, and it ties into the line, "You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?" Before we get to that, Batman is fighting Joker's goons while Vicky is literally dancing with the devil. Then this guy starts coming out of nowhere and starts kicking Batman's ass. I mean, come on, Batman. You know every martial art known to man. Fight back. Do something. What a crappy way to go. Of course, then comes the part where Batman and Joker have their own dance. But which one's the devil? Well, that's up to debate. And also, I enjoy where they debate over who created who. Of course, the fight is woefully one-sided. Joker has never been a physical match for Batman in any media. Except for the Batman cartoon, bizarrely enough. Does anybody even remember that show? Of course, that leads to the Joker's death. If this was a cinematic universe, this would never have happened. The way he dies is incidental, I'd say. But it's like if the helicopter just moved over to the cathedral ground, he would have been fine. No falling to your death needed. Falling to your death, a very classic way to go. However, what I will say about the end of the film is the scene where the bat signal is unveiled is really freaking awesome. No weird origin like they did in Batman Begins. The film ends on a surprisingly triumphant note. Here's what I think the movie did well. It introduced Batman to a new generation of fans. It brought him back into the pop culture limelight. It showed that dark and gritty Batman was the way to go. Do I think it holds up? Yes. It's a little dated, which is inevitable, but yet it's timeless at the same time. Batman is a superhero classic and it's one of the most important comic book films ever made. It's good. Good enough.